everyone for joining us this afternoon. My name is Bona Heinsohn, and I'm here with Kelly and Diane, also from the Cook County Farm Bureau. And we're looking forward to taking a virtual combine ride with Mike Rauch. And Mike is a member of our board of directors, as well as an active volunteer in public relations, Ag in the Classroom, and our foundation. And Mike, tell us a little bit about your background and where we're standing today.
Well, we're standing on the corner of Harlem Avenue and Oak Park Avenue in Tinley Park by Odyssey Fun World. Give them a plug. I've been farming this property for over a dozen years, probably a little longer. I help them, I plant their corn maze, if any of you have been to their Fun World farm days in the fall. But this is some of the extra property around that fun farm. And I'm growing corn here this year. I grow corn and soybeans and do a little bit of hay production for the horses in the area.
So you said corn. So is it like the sweet corn that I ate all summer, or is it something different?
Sweet corn's done for this time of year. This is all field corn, hard yellow dent. It'd be really hard to eat right now, probably break your teeth. But this is used for a number of food products. It's used for ethanol fuel. There's a plant here in Justice, Ingredion, that processes corn right now into all sorts of products that are used in our foods. They make cornstarch and corn oil. Bona has a few of the products that this is made into.
So the cornstarch that's made from your corn goes into Jell-O. That's one of the main products in your instant Jell-O. And then corn syrup is in our candies as well. So your cornfield here, is it going to Ingredion, or where is it going today?
This will probably go out to Elwood, to Prairie Creek. Since the intermodal came to Joliet, where they load containers that are shipped overseas, we've gotten a great market. Most of this corn will actually end up probably in the Far East, China.
Before we hop in the combine, can you show us it? Can you walk us around the outside of it and tell us a little bit about?
We can do that.
This field is about 20 acres.
Yes.
How long is that going to take you in an ideal, no breakdowns, no problems, ideal situation?
I've been picking up, I would say I could probably harvest that in about 2.5 or 3 hours. So if everything works good.
Very nice.
You can move pretty quickly with this machine in corn. It'll, again, without the real high yields, it'll gobble it up pretty fast.
Okay.
And it all starts here in the front. This is the corn head attachment on the front of the combine. I plant with a 12-row planter, so I harvest 6 rows at a time. They do make machines big enough to handle a 12-row head, but I couldn't get around the neighborhoods here with 12 rows on the front. It's 30 feet wide. So this is 15 feet wide. I can almost stay in my lane on the road and move from farm to farm. So this grabs the corn stalks as we go in.
And this is poly here.
Yeah, this is the all plastic fronts.
It used to always be metal for a long time.
Right. That's all. And a lot of the combine sides now are plastic even. A lot of polyethylene stuff. Corn, the stalk rolls, you yank the stalks down, and then the ear is just popped right off on the plates right there. And the chains will go around and take the ears into the machine. And then inside, the kernels are rubbed off with a cob and then separated out.
And we'll see the process of the corn going into the machine through the head when we get up in the combine. But just combines are really neat machines, because once the corn gets in here, what happens here?
Well, there's a number of things. This is my first rotor combine, if you see that. So I'm learning with this one myself. I'm used to the older threshing units, but the rotor combine spins through, and as the ear of corn comes through, it'll roll it around and rub the kernels all off. So the kernels and the cobs then become separated. And then there's a number, in the old combine, it was great. We could look right up in the back of it. You can see the walkers and the sieves and the chaffer. But this has the same type of things, just the actual rotor does most of the work here. And then those others, the walkers will separate out. You know, there's, again, the kernels, the chaffer, the same thing, throws the stalks and the leaves all out the back. And then the sieve on the bottom just lets the kernels through. Everything that's not a kernel of corn comes out the back. And this chopper in the back, you know, grinds it all up and spreads it all back on the field. So we use it all for, you know, stover goes back into the ground.
Leftovers that's on the ground, you leave to help with soil erosion and nutrients?
Yes, I've been no-till farming almost from the start, which means I don't do much tillage at all. All of what you see here on the ground will stay here until I come and plant soybeans in it in the spring. The planter will cut through, open a slot in the dirt and drop a seed in, and that'll come up in all this garbage. You know, it's all plant food, I guess.
It is, and it helps with any of the wind erosion and water erosion as well.
Actually, when it comes out of the combine, we wait for a truck. The grain cart here holds about a semi-load. This one does. And when I get that filled up, hopefully I'll have my truckers available that can come and empty it again so I can keep combining.
So this green wagon over here, it's called a grain cart?
Grain cart.
So why do you unload from the combine to the grain cart to the semi? Wouldn't it be quicker to go from the combine to the semi?
If the combine's sitting still, that would be great. The combine in corn anyhow, what we do is open up a land in the field so the grain cart can chase the combine and you don't stop.
Well, let's go harvest some corn. We are going to have the screen out so you can see the corn as Mike is harvesting. Diane, as we were coming up the steps, Mike asked about, just for our students who are joining us, can you talk a little bit about education and what classes and what skills you rely on?
Well, agriculture actually uses about every type of education that you learn, starting from history. Basically, you can learn about the history of crop production, of food production, from your history books. Some of the specific things I've used during, as I went to college, actually. There's agronomy classes that teach you about soil, fertility classes, you know, involved with chemistry, and, you know, how you fertilize your crop and feed it properly. My actual enjoyment, or one of my most interesting things, are the mechanical things. I was playing with toys since I was 3 years old, farm toys, and my toys just got bigger. So I enjoy the mechanics parts and the engineering. There's a lot of engineering goes into the machining itself to make all of this work. You know, different designs on new things all the time. Here you can see our drowned out spot in the field. I'm going to go ahead and move over to adjust. Stay on the outside. We'll cut up through the field on our way back. Oh, you see I'm off a roll. Stop, back up. That's what happens a lot of times when you lose or you replant. It's hard to replant on top of the same rows you started with if you're just doing a wet hole in the middle. So
Mike, I'm hearing some beeping in our combine. We have screens over here and we have a screen down there.
We have on this. I'm learning this new machine myself. It's new to me. I had a 22-year-old combine the last 10 years, and I've moved up now to a 12-year-old combine. So for me, it's all new technology. There's a command center here that runs all the settings of the combine, from cylinder speed to the adjustments on the chaffer and the sieve, so you keep all the grain. Up here is the grain loss monitor. And I've been losing very little grain. His bars will go up and down. There's sensors on the back that'll tell me if there's corn going out the back of the machine instead of into the hopper like Bona is showing you now. And that's what's kind of nice about these, the newer technologies. There's a lot of electronics. You guys that are into computers and computer programming, this thing's got more computers in probably in this combine than the original spaceship had going to the moon.
Absolutely. And a lot of the same technologies that we're using every day, like GPS. In the cars, we're using GPS in our fields.
That's the next purchase. This is the bracket for the GPS auto steer function that was in the combine with the previous owner. When I bought it, they sold the auto steer to somebody else. And I've never had auto steer yet, and I'm kind of looking forward to that capability in the future. Maybe next year, if we do this again, I'll be able to take my hands off the wheel and wave at you guys and let the combine go by itself. But I like driving. Like I say, the machines are the fun part for me, and I like playing with all the machines. So again, for education, you go all the way back to your math and sciences and reading. You know, the amount of reading it takes just to keep up with the new products and the new ideas available for doing different farm operations, you know, from the livestock to the grain to the ranching, everything. I get inundated with farm magazines the way I have a stack a foot tall by the middle of winter because I can't read them all in the fall.
So, and just, I know a lot of people think, well, this is Cook County, you have to be one of the few remaining farmers. There's a lot of agricultural related careers right here in Cook County. I mean, we talked about Ingredion earlier, which is they do the processing and the marketing of the corn, but there's a ton of food processors in Cook County. So we have a lot of agriculture here.
And it's not just the food system. Besides the trucks going to and from the grocery store, you guys buying groceries, it's part of agriculture. There's, for just my grain operation, there's a fuel man that takes care of the fuel for the machines. I've got a couple of different machinery vendors that handle the parts for the machines that I use. I go to different cities to pick up, and all the people that work at those dealerships and put together the machines, repair the machines, fix the machines.
Fix the computer parts of the machines.
Yeah, it's there's all sorts of technicians and truck drivers. You know, the people that dump the trucks, and, you know, again, fix the trucks. It's just it's amazing how much, I know, Bonnie, you probably know the amount of industry in Illinois that is directly tied to agriculture.
Agriculture is one of the leading industries in Illinois. So if we stop and think about it, even if you don't necessarily think your career is related to agriculture, there's a very good chance that it is. Now, Mike, you brought up our agriculture in the classroom program. I know you have been involved for numerous years in that program, but in case people who are joining us today aren't as familiar with it, what does it involve?
It's actually education, agricultural education to everybody that wants to learn about it. We have information for from groups as early as first, second grade and younger. I think I know of a class listening now of preschoolers right here in Tinley Park.
Very nice.
And we also go up to high school and adult education. It's anything you want to learn about agriculture, we should be able to line you up.
So if a teacher or a parent is interested, do they just contact the Cook County Farm Bureau?
That's the best way. Diane, who we talked with earlier, is the coordinator of that Ag in the Classroom program and our Ag Literacy group, and she is the go-to person.
Excellent. Now, is there a charge for it? I know a lot of schools are virtual right now and a lot of school boards are struggling, but what if a teacher wants the program and they don't have the funds?
Well, that's probably the good thing. We'd like to charge $1 million a day, but of course, that information is free, and we make it free to you as well.
That is
so
excellent.
Just it costs you a phone call, an email, or a search on Facebook.
Absolutely. And everything about our Ag in the Classroom program is available on the Cook County Farm Bureau website, which is www.cookcfb.org. And you're able to find information for consumers who are looking for perhaps a local farm stand to look at pumpkins, or for teachers who are looking for a program to integrate into their math lesson, or a science lesson, or a history lesson. We have that available. And you'll find out with our Ag in the Classroom program, we have kits for teachers. We have resources, we have materials, we have a little bit of everything.
And we got about a half a hopper of corn in a round and a half.
I was going to ask
maybe a little less.
So
our command center is showing in this spotty. This is actually our corn yield. And this reads, I think, a little bit low since I haven't calibrated it yet. But it's telling me we're harvesting about 80 bushel corn right here.
Through our Ag in the Classroom program, we have a book that's What the World Eats. And there's an updated copy to it as well. And it really talks about the different countries and common foods and common meals that they have and some of their traditions. So it's always interesting to see, as agriculturalists, what we're growing today and how our neighbors in other countries may use it as well. So we have the beet for fuel. How does our hopper look? Oh my goodness, that entire wall there is full of corn.
Actually, if you look, can you see the window up top?
So,
you see any corn in that window?
We don't have corn in that window yet.
No.
Now we do.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you shifted it a little.
Corn. This window is filling. This one fills a little first, so that tells you your hopper is almost full.
Okay. And when our hopper's full, we're going to go over to the grain cart and unload, correct?
Yep.
So you mentioned that the combine's low on fuel. About how many gallons of, I assume, diesel goes into it?
This combine actually holds 200 gallons of fuel.
I often think about like an average. I know that my car has a 25-gallon tank. So if you think about that compared to your parents' vehicles and our vehicles and everything, that's a lot of fuel.
Yeah, we hold about 10 times what the average car does nowadays.
So Mike is using the combine to unload onto his grain cart. So you can see the corn coming out of the auger. And he's going to shift around just to even out the corn going onto the grain cart.
And I'm learning a new combine too. It's like an auger that's 4 feet longer than my old one. And all the places I drove in years past to unload are wrong now.
Are wrong.
So we should have dumped in here two half-a-hoppers. So actually here in the middle of the grain cart, it shouldn't take too long to see some grain coming up in there.
And just to put some of our science skills, we want, since you're dumping above the axle, is there a particular reason?
Yes, if I started from the very back, that cart would actually tip backwards. If it didn't have the hammer lock hitch on the tractor that holds the hitch down, that cart would come all the way off the tractor. So, and you want to load, since it's holding about 60,000 pounds when it's full, you want to load that fairly evenly to start with, just so you don't get things out of whack. Again, your physics, your balances, your weights and measures, all those things that you don't hardly think about come into play. Another hopper and I'll have a semi-load. So I combine another 20 minutes and I'll need to call my trucker. In fact, I'll probably call him as soon as you guys are done here.
I was going to say, make sure he's here.
I'll have it full before he gets here.
So our next stop is to get fuel.
I'm going to text my assistant, my brother-in-law, that we do need fuel.
So, and then I think once you send that text, we're going to hop out just for a moment. We want to just take a second. We talked a little bit about sweet corn. We've talked about field corn.
Oh, we got to talk about my favorite.
We got to talk about
corn.
your favorite. The popcorn, Mike, and I've got an ear of popcorn right here, and that looks really different.
Yes, small kernels, very dense. And I think any of those folks that have had some ag in the classroom before, we've had, or our field days, we've asked what makes the popcorn pop. And it's actually the moisture inside the kernel. You want me to go over to Eldon to get fuel? Yes, please. That's my man getting fuel for me.
I was going to say.
So yeah, the microwave will heat it up and explode a kernel, and that's what we eat.
So what's this?
Soybeans. This is what I've been living in the last 2 weeks. As you can see, with our dryness this summer, there's almost always 3 beans in a pod. See, this pod doesn't even have the 3rd bean, never even matured or grew. 2 beans, 2 beans. So when you get 2 beans instead of 3, that cuts your yield by a third. Absolutely. And that's basically what has happened.
So Mike and I talked a little bit about ag in the classroom while we were in the combine. And I just want to take a second and share some resources that we have for those teachers who are watching and the students. So we have our ag mags, both about corn as well as soybeans and a ton of other topics. One of my favorite one is urban, which actually really talks about farming in the urban area. But there's different activities, there's different information in here that you can use in your classrooms. There's history, there's production, different uses.
Biodiesel from soybeans.
So, and we talked a little bit about technology, and once Mike gets his auto steer and everything, we're going to have the field maps up as well. But this is one of the greatest technologies, and there's
the kids that like drones and are good at them. You can get a career in agriculture.
Absolutely. And speaking of careers, on the back page, we talk about the related careers. So same way with our corn as
There's
well.
Anything cool in here.
Well, corn's
I learned a lot
cool,
of stuff
Mike.
out of these.
So Mike talked about the nutrients, and that's part of the reason he leaves the chaff on the ground and everything is for the nutrients and to protect the topsoil. We talked about the use of the different corn and everything. And Mike, I forgot to ask you, do you farm for a corporation or is your farm a family farm?
I'm a sole proprietor, which I just farm, for myself. It's a family farm. I also do have Rauch Enterprises Incorporated.
So you're a family farmer, an independent farmer, but you have incorporated to protect liability-wise and tax-wise, which is what we see that a lot. Most of the farms in Illinois and in the U.S. are family-owned, but a lot of them will go ahead and be incorporated or in partnerships as a way to protect the family members and also for the tax reasons.
I would think a vast majority of the farm corporations in the state are just family operations that incorporated for those reasons.
So Mike, we are very close on our time. Good. So before we leave our virtual combine ride, I want to take a second to say thank you for letting us join you and our viewers on the Zoom join you and take a look at the combine. We hope in the next fall we'll be able to get people back in person, but not gonna lie, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I hope you guys have. I'm glad I could probably get to a lot more people like this than I could fit in the combine. The rider's seat holds 1. But again, hopefully things will straighten out and we can have you all come out to the field in the future.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who has joined us this afternoon.
Have a great day.